Hi, my name is Mark and welcome to the channel. It's a new year, a new me. Just kidding, I'm basically the same, nothing has changed, I'm still here, and I'm glad you're here with me. I wanted to sit down today and show you some of the yarn that I've purchased, sort of a winter haul. It's not that much, but still, I wanted to show you the yarn I've got, show you some beautiful notions and other little gifts I got during the holiday season, and talk about my knitting plans for at least the beginning of 2025. So let's get into it. If you've been with me in the past months, or even in my first year on YouTube, you'll know that I have a lot of yarn. I took a pretty big trip over the summer, purchased a lot of yarn during those travels, and for the most part, I'm working from my stash. I'm trying to use the fiber I have, and I really don't like to just buy yarn, which I discovered in some of the travels, in some of the yarn hops, the yarn crawls that I participated in. I don't like to just buy yarn for the sake of buying yarn. You may look at some of my other videos and think that's not true, but if you're actually watching and listening to the content within, you'll see that when I buy yarn, when I purchase things, I like to have a project in mind, and I like to finish those projects. I don't like to leave things unfinished. I don't like to have too many things going on at one time, even though I'm always guilty of that. But let's just talk about some of these things I have and some of the plans for this new year. So let's start with some of the really special gifts and notions I received during the holiday season. First, we can't ignore the cat in the room. Check out this adorable bag. This is made by Paula of SpinningLoft, and I'm lucky enough to know Paula in real life. She's local to me in Northeastern Ohio, and we sell her bags, her spun fiber, and also some of her roving at Around the Table Yarns. So if you're ever there, or I don't think those things are all online, but if you call the shop or do shopping through FaceTime or Zoom, you can see her things. And I think you can also get to her stuff through Etsy. So I'll make sure to put all that information here on the screen and down in the description box. I think this is precious. I can't get over this print. So Ned surprised me with this for Christmas. And I do have a handful of Paula bags now, and I sort of switch them out seasonally, and I also keep projects in them. I said I don't like to have too many things going on at one time, and I don't. I try to cap it out around 4 or 5 projects at once. So right now I have my sea glass sweater, I have a sea glass sweater from Megan, and then I've got a cardigan for myself, and I just cast on a Ranunculus. So I think that's it for the projects I have going on. Maybe a couple more things that are like on hold for other reasons, for logistical reasons, let's say. So anyway, I love project bags. They make me happy, they keep me organized, and I do like to keep projects in a bag. So if I have 2 things going on at once or 3 things, they each have a place they stay. I don't like to take them apart and run the risk of separating the needles from the pattern from anything else that's going on. So, love it. I think this is incredible. And if you haven't seen Paula bags before, they've got a nice zipper pocket on the outside that's decently deep. You can fit quite a bit of stuff in there. And then this bag has a zip top. And on the inside, we've got a couple more pockets and a good gusseted bottom. So I can easily fit my sweater quantities for like a 2XL sweater into my Paula bags. When it's plumped open, you can fit quite a bit. So thank you, Ned, and thank you, Paula, for making a great bag. Next, I've got some gifts from my local yarn shop. From my boss, I received a really nice assortment of things. I've got a bar of soap that I love. It's from a Cleveland-based soap company, and it smells incredible. She gave us some of this last year, and Ned and I used it up within a couple of months, so I'm excited to have a replacement bar for us to use again. And then I've got some Katrinkles notions. Here we've got some chicken stitch markers. I feel like these are a nod to the emotional support chicken that was such a huge craze of 2024. And you can see they're all wearing different textured knits. And then there's a red sparkly chicken. I like that the Katrinkles markers are always an assortment. So if you're someone that likes to use a certain style of marker to denote things like the start of round or a raglan increase or a decrease, anything that needs to happen at a certain marker, you've got variety in here. And then two more little things from Katrinkles. This I love, obviously. And it's a row counter. I went the wrong way. So you can spin these to keep track of your row as you go. And then once I fill this side up, I can do this side. And then the whole thing can stay attached to a project bag or even a keychain, anywhere you need. I like to put things like this on my project bag. And then you can tighten the eyes if you need to tighten up the dial, which I think is nice. And last from Katrinkles is a celestial iridescent gauge measure in keychain form. So you can see we've got some constellations, we've got the Big or Little Dipper, that's what I have on my tattoo, so that's fitting. And then some stars, and then you've got a 1 inch by 1 inch, sorry. Yeah, 1 inch by 1 inch, excuse me. 1 inch by 1 inch window here. Very thoughtful and generous gifts. This next gift is another one from Ned. This is something that he put in my stocking, and I'm obsessed with it. It's not related to yarn, but it's related to buying yarn, we could say. It's a wallet, and it looks like a mini book, The Tale of Tom Kitten. It's a Beatrix Potter book. And I love Tom Kitten. I have a print of him on the wall behind me. It's covered up by another print, and I really want to get a Tom Kitten tattoo, but I'm nervous. I'm scared to do it. And then on the inside, he filled it with stickers. So we've got Tom Kitten. I don't know everybody's names, unfortunately. Peter Rabbit, I assume. Yep. You don't get a name? I don't remember the mouse's name. And then we've got pockets here. So pockets for credit card, ID, and then a little wedge there, and another pocket here. So not the kind of wallet you're going to stick in your back pocket because it's a little thick, but I'm going to use it. I'm excited. I'm going to put my ID and some cash and a couple of my cards in it and use it for our next couple of trips. I think it's adorable. Now this next gift is also from the yarn shop. This is from my colleague Elfrida, and Elfrida is a beautiful knitter, a beautiful crocheter, but also a great spinner and weaver. So she wove towels for all of us who work there, and I can't get over how beautiful it is. She also gave Ned and me a set of towels for our wedding that we use. We have one of them out in the kitchen right now. I think she gave us 3. But look at this. I don't know the first thing about weaving. So I was looking at it and I thought, how does this work? How do you get sort of the deep chevron design? I just can't quite wrap my head around how all of these designs and even the use of the different colors comes from the loom. I've seen people weave, I've seen the looms, I've never tried it in person. I know several people in the comments are always excited for me to try spinning, and I've had some of you reach out and say that you're excited for me to go take a weaving class at one of the shops on the west side of Cleveland. Sorry, one of the shops on the east side towards Pennsylvania. 3 Sheep Gallery and Workshop in Boardman, Ohio. I went there on the Yarn Discovery Tour and included it in my video here on the channel, and I had several people say they were excited because they want me to experience weaving and hopefully get bitten by that crafting bug. So anyway, I'm just blown away by this from Elfrida. It's stunning and a really beautiful, overly generous gift. Now for my yarn and my projects. As I said, I don't have a big haul of yarn, but I did purchase 5 or 6 sweater quantities of yarn so that I have it ready for several projects in 2025. And I'm really leaning in here with Cricket from Kelborn Woolens. I have a sweater vest that I've made out of Cricket that I'm happy with. I love the texture of it, I love the colors, and these 3 are colors from Cricket that I've wanted to use for several years. First, we've got Pine, number 305. I love tweed. Some people don't like tweed. I love it. And this is a single ply merino. It's technically a sport weight, but it's kind of flexible. It could be used at a fingering gauge, it could be used as a sport gauge, potentially even DK depending on the stitch pattern you're doing. The neps of tweed really do fill in the texture. And the next color is Navy, number 412. I love navy, I love blues. You can tell from my ultramarine blue I'm wearing now. I just think this color is stunning. And some of the tweed in there is red, which I just think is so gorgeous. And then another green, I'll put it next to the pine. They're noticeably different. This one I purchased first, but then later when I thought, I'll do a few sweaters out of this, I went back for the pine. This is color Moss 303. I think it's incredibly nuanced. I love the tweed in this. And I think this will look decent on me. So I have sweater quantities, about 5 or 6 skeins of each of those. Somebody asked me once, what do I mean when I say a sweater quantity? I mean enough for me to make a sweater that will fit me. And I haven't picked the patterns for all of these, so in that case I want to make sure I have plenty. So I might get a little bit of extra yardage. If you're doing something that's cabled or extremely textured, you're using more fiber. If you're doing something that's garter or stockinette, you're not using as much. So I like to figure out a sweater quantity for myself by referencing patterns that I've made in the same weight. So I would look at fingering weight or sport weight sweaters that I've made and see what was the yardage requirement for my size, what did I actually end up using, and then if I need to estimate, I might add another 300 or 400 yards in case I do something that's extremely textured. And then I've got my sweater quantity. I showed this previously. It's a color from Woolstock, and I was going to make a slipover from Petite Knit. This is Midnight Sea, color 1317. Another really beautiful blue, almost black, especially in person. I don't know. Yeah, it looks more black there, but when you're up close, when you're under good light or out in the sun, it's a beautiful blue. And I wound some. I didn't end up starting that slipover because I got food poisoning on the trip that I took the yarn on. And then I was talking to Megan and I said, maybe instead of that slipover, I should make a replacement slipover of the Petite Knit pattern that I lost a year or two ago. So I'll put it on the screen. I think I might use this Midnight Sea to recreate that pullover, that slipover, instead of doing the more simple one. And maybe in the future I'll still make that more simple Petite Knit slipover, but I think I want to replace the textured version that I lost first. And then my last sweater quantity is sort of a lingering sweater quantity. This is some 100% alpaca from Amano. This is Puna in the color 4706. I think it's an attractive blue. It's incredibly soft. I made a cardigan, the field cardigan, out of the kind of sibling yarn of this in an undyed alpaca. And I think it turned out beautifully. It feels good to wear. I think it looks beautiful. This is so much darker that I wouldn't do something quite as textured. So I just don't know what I'll make out of it. But it's a lingering sweater quantity that I wanted to kind of bring back to the top of the list by including it in this video in case you have any ideas. All right, now for the projects. I went ahead and wound this skein of yarn up. This is a special yarn. It was dyed in a custom colorway for another local shop. The yarn comes from ZZ Textiles, and the color is Rock Your World in Lodi, and it comes from the store Black Locust Farm in Lodi, Ohio. and I've been there just twice before, both times on the Yarn Discovery Tour, our local crawl in northeastern Ohio, and I think it's really beautiful. It's a DK weight, and so I pulled this off the yarn wall and wound it up because I'm going to do another large Sophie scarf, this one for Ned. And I find the Sophie scarf to be good for travel, something that I like to work on when I'm sitting and talking with people. It's not near as big as some of my sweater projects, so that's going to be one of my first knits of 2025. Now for a couple of pattern ideas moving into 2025. This first one is the Heirloom Quilt Cardigan. I don't know that this is going to be a project I actually do because of the size. Similar to a granny square cardigan, these quilt squares, or quilt style squares, really limit the sizing. So if we look at the size options here, it comes in one, two, three, only three size options: 50-inch circumference, 70-inch, and then 78-inch. And I don't love oversized things, so I just don't know. I was thinking I could do this out of some of my Rowan felted tweed because I have a good assortment of colors. Anyway, I like it, so I wanted to show it, but maybe it won't be an actual project I get to. All right, something that I'm very interested in for 2025 is lace. I don't think I've really done lace projects before. My sparkle or sequin sweater has eyelets. It's probably the most lace I've done. It's not a complex lace pattern, but I've been inspired by some of the things I've seen people wearing in person and also lots of Ravelry searches. So this first one is Himiko by Ririko. It's a beautiful acorn lace pattern. So take a look at that. I think it's a gorgeous lace pattern. I'm not worrying about the shape or construction of the rest of the body. You'll see it's a drop shoulder, a pretty dramatic drop shoulder, which I'm not the biggest fan of, on me at least. But I like to rewrite patterns. I like to take part of a pattern, use it, and then refigure or redo the construction anyway. So I think that's going to be my MO moving into 2025. So while we're looking at that pattern, I'm imagining it out of this, the lighter green of my Cricut, which I think the tweed could get a little bit busy, but the acorn lace is so recurring, so frequently recurring, that I think it would balance out. And I would do a swatch and test it. Part of me is leaning towards the pine, but I think maybe it would be better out of a subtle, more neutral shade. So let me know. Pine is the brighter versus moss, the lighter, for this acorn lace. But I'm sold on the acorn lace. No matter the other projects I make in 2025, I think I'm definitely going to get this one on the needles. Now I'll run a couple of other lace patterns by you. Again, if you see one that you think screams Mark and would be great on me, let me know. I'm trying to narrow these down, and I want to make at least 3 or 4 lace things in the coming year. This next option is the Rosebush Pullover by Irmian Design. I like that it's just lace at the yoke. I love, love, love a circular yoke sweater on me. So that's that. And I might do it with like 3/4 sleeves or even a short sleeve, just so it's flexible and can be worn for more of the year. Here's another one that I'm very excited about. This is Hanami by Knitting for Breakfast. Let's find a good picture. I like how much lace there is here. I also love a round yoke, so I think that would agree with me. And I don't necessarily have any fiber in mind, but if I go back, this does look a little bit rustic. I wouldn't necessarily do it out of the Cricut. I could, but I have, lots of other yarn in my life. I'm happy to do something else. So I like that one as well. This next option is the Vaga Tee by Linda Friedholm. I like that it's a tee. I would probably give myself slightly longer sleeves. But again, a round yoke, I'm a fan of that, and I just want some lace in my life. All right, 3 more options, and then I'll show you something that I've already cast on. For many years, I've been tempted by the Zweig Sweater by Caitlin Hunter. I love Caitlin Hunter. I think this sweater is really beautiful. I actually purchased yarn for it a couple of years ago. I purchased Malabrigo Machida, the single ply fingering weight, with a navy for the body color and like a galaxy for the lace, which I think could work. The galaxy might be too crazy, but I think I have enough of the Machida to at least do the body, and I could pair it with something else for the lace. I love this. I think the lace is really cool, but I also like how there are 2 colors and it transfers into and out of the contrast. So I think this is one that I might have to do in 2025. I'll definitely bring the neck in. I like to do a provisional cast on where the sweater starts and then pick that back up and do as much ribbing or as much of a closure on the neck as I think I need. Here's another tee that I really like. This is the Salty Air Tee by Samantha Guerin. I like this. I think I like this better than the other tee I showed you. I like the lace comes down a bit further on it. And the lace is mild. I don't know what I would do this one out of, but I think it's very attractive. Okay, I think I lied about how many more I was showing you. 2 more, and then I'll show you what I've already cast on. This is Treit by Kate Davies. I've never done a Kate Davies sweater, and I think I need to. I like this a lot. We have it hanging as a sample at Around the Table Yarns in Shaker Heights, Ohio, which is how I first noticed it. I think the lace is nice. So I don't know. This is a possibility. Final pattern to show, and then I'll show you what I've already cast on. This is the Chinkapin Pullover by Irina Anakiva. And I think this is gorgeous. This was a top 2 with the acorn lace pattern I showed first. But when I was showing the acorn lace and this pattern to people in real life for a vote, which do you like better, the vote landed on the acorn first. This one I think looks kind of like the Eiffel Tower. And something that I really, really appreciate about this sweater is that on the sleeve, it carries some of the lace. So I'm a big fan. I think this is like number 2 on the list. Acorn lace, followed by the Chinkapin Pullover. Okay, and for what I've already cast on, some people hate it. A lot of people love it. Let's see. 26,000 people have made it and put it on Ravelry, so that means way more people have actually made it because a lot of people don't post their projects to Ravelry. It's the Ranunculus by Midori Hirose. I'm not sure if that's how I pronounce the last name or not, so I apologize if not. This is a hugely popular pattern. You've probably seen it or made it. 26.5 thousand people have posted their projects to Ravelry, which means thousands more have actually made it because a lot of people don't post their projects to Ravelry. So here it is. Something about the Ranunculus is that it looks so different depending on what yarn you choose and how you execute it. There are a couple of ways to customize it in the pattern, and then if we look at some of these pictures, you'll see it looks so different depending on the fiber and weight of fiber used. And the pattern says that you can use worsted weight down to fingering weight, still using the same needle and still attempting to achieve the same gauge. So obviously, the lighter weight fiber you use, the lacier, the more mesh sort of see-through effect you get, and then the heavier yarn gives you a more traditional looking sweater. I like the lace here. I also like that it's so popular. I like to make popular patterns. I get sucked in by the peer pressure to do it. And I also like to make things that are a little bit more off the beaten path, so I think it's a good blend of the two. So I'll show you what I have so far. First, Peep the Paula bag. It's one of my favorite Paula bags. And I think my camera, my buff head camera, is about to run out of space, so I'll show you this rapidly. I've added sparkle, as you can see. It looks like a lot on camera under these good lights, but it's not so crazy in real life. And out of the Cricut, it is fairly lacy. I've gone down several needle sizes to give it a tighter gauge, but still super duper lacy. There's sort of the flower bit of the lace. Anyway, I just wanted to show you the start. Hopefully, if this keeps going on the right track, I'll have it done pretty quickly. I think the sweater flies by. Yeah, so I wanted to show you that close up and just talk about some of these ideas, get your input. I would love, love, love to hear from you if you have recommendations of what you think would suit me the best, would suit the yarn the best. And then I'm sure in 2025, we're going to shop for a lot more yarn. We're going to cover a lot of projects. And if there's anything specific you would enjoy seeing here on the channel, please let me know. I travel quite a bit for my other work. If you watched the video last week or the week before, you saw what goes on with some of my music making and some of my work outside of knitting and crafting. So let me know if you have ideas or things that you'd enjoy doing with me here on the channel. I'm wishing you a very happy new year. I appreciate the relationship we have. I love getting to come on and talk with you, see your projects, hear about what's going on in your part of the world, and just seeing and feeling my community grow. It means the world to me. So a couple of things you can do if you enjoy seeing me here on YouTube and you want to keep seeing me on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed, like the video, leave a comment, share a video with somebody else in your life. All of that helps me to fund the channel and keep things going. Speaking of funding the channel, I'm always indebted to all of my Patreon supporters. It's a wonderful group of people there that do a little bit of extra work to keep the channel going, to keep me in business here, and they're wonderful people that I love getting to know over on Patreon. So thank you to all of you who so generously support me there. As always, thanks for choosing to spend this time with me, and happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy crafting to you. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.